Welcome to a Saturday edition of Taking It to the Know. Today, I have a very special guest on here. You might know him. His name is Willy Marante. And Willy has got a lot of history in the cigar world. We're going to get into where Willy's journey has taken him. And we're going to be talking about where he's working now at La Aurora Cigars, which I'm about to fire up the La Aurora 120th anniversary. Question is, am I supposed to take this off or not? Just a joke. I know what to do. Anyway, before we start that, we will give a little shout out to our sponsors, and then we'll bring Willy right in.
And today's show is brought to you by Casa Cuevas Cigars. In the 19th century, Juan Cuevas, Spanish immigrant from Santander, began what was to be a family business which now spans 4 generations. Like others fortunate enough to live and work in Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, Juan commenced cultivating tobacco, turning it into a successful business. Years later, in the Ciabo Valley of the Dominican Republic, Luis Cuevas Sr., Juan Jr.'s son, carried on the family tradition of handcrafting fine cigars in the family's cigar factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas. Today, Luis Sr. is joined by his son Luis Jr. in the manufacturing and sale of premium long filler cigars. So check out Casa Cuevas Cigars at www.casacuevascigars.com and on their Instagram and Facebook channels. And today's show is brought to you by Perilous, a game of ultimate cigar trivia, where contestants compete to win prizes and gift certificates to purchase their favorite products. You can join Perilous by going to stogiepress.com/perilous and register to be a contestant.
Hey, let's bring Willy in. Willy, how you doing this Saturday afternoon?
How you doing? I'm doing
Good.
great. How about you?
Just fired up this La Aurora 120. I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show, but I laughed because I saw a video once where somebody actually lit up a cigar with an outer cedar sleeve with the cedar sleeve on it.
I've seen that in person when I used to work in retail.
And it's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. But hey, to
I
each
had a
their own.
customer. I had a customer that was buying a double chateau. He brought it up to the ear, mind you. There's a cedar wrap and cellophane. So what you're trying to listen to, I have no idea. But then he put it on the counter, hard pressed it like that, rolled it, took out the cellophane. And I was like, sir, and he's like, no, I know what I'm doing. I was like, okay. Lit it up with the cedar, everything exploded. He's like, you think I did too much? I was like, yeah, it's too little. Yeah, it's too little.
Especially when you start tasting the Scotch tape that's holding the the cedar on.
Somewhere between the Scotch tape and the plastic, right? Like you want to pick up on something.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking a little time out on your Saturday. I know you're a really busy person now, especially you are an event coordinator for La Aurora and also a sales manager of the East Coast, if I understand correctly. So talk a little bit about what it is you do at La Aurora and then the journey and how you got there, because I know you work with some other brands and there's some connection to La Aurora, which probably got you to where you're at today.
So first we'll start with hi, my name is Willy Marante and I am your East Coast manager and national event manager for La Aurora Cigars. Translation is I live out of my car in a suitcase. So when I'm not in markets covering areas that we're still building and putting the right people in place, I'm also involved with all the national events and stuff like that. So needless to say, I pay rent in Orlando, and I use it as a hub just to do laundry and get back out. So we stay busy. But obviously, as you know, my connection with La Aurora goes far as back as my time with Miami Cigar and stuff like that. So to me, this is home. You know, I've been blessed to work with the same factories for over 10 years now, give or take. So, yeah, this is close to the heart.
So you've been with La Aurora for 10 years, or La Aurora
Yeah,
through
between
Miami 10
between
years?
Miami Cigar, everything has been like almost 10 years.
Okay. All right. And now, before you got in with Miami Cigars, were you indulging in cigars at that time?
Before I came to Miami Cigar, I worked in retail for 6 years with Sabor Havana and the Ralph.
Mm.
So, you know, that always helps when you've been behind the register and you understand, you know, what takes up stores, you know.
So you had a lot of appreciation for what's good and maybe what's not so good. And you are part of an organization that, I mean, we're smoking the 120th, you and I. That anybody doesn't know La Aurora Cigars down in the Dominican Republic, 120-year-old company. You
Going
don't
on
get
120,
there,
going on 121 this year.
going on 121 this year, and you don't get there by making bad decisions. You get there by making good decisions. They made a good decision bringing you on to do what you do because you're dynamic and you're good at what you do.
Thank you.
What was it like, though, transitioning from a Miami cigar world and eventually getting into being like, what do you do as an event coordinator versus the sales part, or are they two kind of connected?
They do kind of stay connected. I mean, obviously, when you say national events, you're talking about the Rocky Mountains, the Great Smoke, PCAs, the PPEs. Like, we're just everywhere, and it's hard to balance a schedule with Manuel being the master blender and also in and out of the United States. Like, it just gets hard to always have him here in Europe and stuff like that. So, we try to coordinate these national events and have the best representation possible while
Okay.
still maintaining the standard and the legacy, that is Lotto.
So talk to me about your view of the history of La Aurora. If you were to explain to somebody what
It's a
this
family
company is.
it's a legacy passed down through family and generations. I mean, you're talking about Guillermo being the fifth generation family member to now be running it. I mean, what their family has done is unprecedented, and we're able to tell the story finally the correct way. That's one thing I tell people. Like, Aurora has an amazing story, and it's really time we actually tell it, and we're starting to tell it the correct way, paying homage. We're talking about legacy. Like you say, 120 years. You don't just get there by making bad decisions. So it's just passion drives everything. But since 1903, we're talking about fifth generation. Now we're working that when you think that Guillermo's daughter, Daniela, is going to be interning with the company now over the summer, that's sixth generation now wanting to learn the ways. And with this new generation leading the way, obviously we're now in the social media information now network era. So it's how do you take a factory that has old school mentalities into this new generation of the information now? So, we have
Yeah.
a lot of work to do, but it's going to be fun because we have the story to tell. So it's just bringing it to life in 2024.
Now, does La Aurora have their own fields? So you're growing
Yes,
tobacco in
we
addition to
grow tobacco. Yeah,
processing it.
processing, and obviously we're big in the Cibao Valley, which this cigar is pretty much an homage to the whole Cibao Valley, being that the binder and filler both have tobacco grown in our Cibao Valley farms.
And
So a little bit about the cigar. Obviously, we have a Dominican. It's a 100% Dominican pour. right, from starting to finish.
Hmm.
Takes 8 years from seed to final product. All the tobacco has been pretty much aged along the process, so 8 years aged. You have a Habano, you have a Dominican Habano 92 wrapper, you have a Dominican Allure binder, and you have a filler that consists of Piloto Cubano, Corojo, and the same Dominican Allure. Um, One thing I love about the 120, obviously, is when you first light up, it's not your traditional La Rota. You get some aggressive notes there. You get like a nice
You
little
get a
black pepper pad
pepper,
that
yes.
just that just gets you going, which is not traditional by La Rota. You've been smoking La Rota cigars for a long time. You know it's full flavor, not full body. It's balance, it's complexity. For this being aggressive is something different for them. Why? For the first time, they're doing and investing in the U.S. market. Connecticut selling wrappers are the number one selling wrapper, absolutely. But in the US, we like a full body. So this is the first integration of what's to come in the new La Rota. So obviously, when we launched last year, it was the new Dawn, La Rota 2.0, like I say when I'm on the street. We're doing all the efforts to get them to understand the US market. We are a full body, complex kind of market for the most part.
Mhm.
So this is the first cigar that people will see that has that kind of aggressive notes. They're gonna see it's the first cigar in a long time. When you open a catalog, a magazine, rather Cigar Snob, Cigar Aficionado, the first cigar we've actually been actually pushing down people's face like you want to smoke this, and this is what we launched our La Rota USA chapter with. So, it's like it had to be good because this is our step one.
Now, I was in the process this week. I'm going to finish up the review this weekend of this cigar. I will note, I'll tip my hat a little bit. One of the things I really liked about this is the pre-light aromas, right? I mean, there was this um beautiful aroma coming off of it. When you smelled it, there was like almost a chocolatey, nutty aroma off the foot that I was getting, which is kind of very enticing. And when you did the cold draw, there was this beautiful array of natural tobacco sweetness. Like you said, this was aged, so you can immediately tell that this is an aged leaf in here. There was some pepper and there was some cream and nutmeg notes. Where this is
Yeah,
one of those cigars, I I love cold puffing on a cigar that has flavor that you could just sit there and go, yeah, I could like not even light this up for a while.
it's almost like when people say nutmeg and they tell me they get a lot of molasses and oak stuff out of our tobacco. I always tell people and remind them the 60-40 ratio where not only do we age tobacco and pilones, we're very big on barrel aging.
Okay.
And we age a lot of our tobaccos in our own rum barrels. So what happens when you're throwing that tobacco into the leftover rum barrels, you're getting those, what is it? Cinnamon, oak, nutmeg,
Mhm.
all that leftover dryness of the rum. So you're gonna get some nice nuances, and like I said, you're gonna get that sweet and sour spice that just tickles you the right way.
Yes, absolutely. And then once you light it up, like you said, you get hit with that peppery note on the front, and that sweetness or creaminess that I was getting on the pre-light turned into like a wafting vanilla aroma coming off the cigar. And I was just like, and then it just develops from there into cream and cocoa and coffee notes started coming in. And then you get into your spices started developing. So, yes, this is not your everyday La Aurora of the past. This is something bold and new coming in. Um, what
One
do
cigar also that
these?
one cigar that we have that a lot of people also underestimate is the ADN or the DNA,
Mm,
because that one has andouille. So and people only think andouille as pipe tobacco or chewing tobacco, but when you in that specific cigar, you have Cameroon binder and you have Dominican Negro and Pennsylvania filler. With that andouille is something really complex and really special that a lot of people also underestimate.
yeah, and I'm seeing some of that show up in some other brands too. So it's definitely a leaf that people have gravitated to for the flavors that it imparts on the palate. So as you go through this journey, do you get involved only in the La Aurora products, or do you get involved in some of the other labels that they do, because you don't make cigars just for La Aurora. La Aurora is making cigars like let's just take Gabby Caffey, Dr. Caffey. He finally found his home in La Aurora. And you guys have been making kick-ass cigars for him ever since he started with you.
We could bring people to the table, but I mean, our concentration is the stuff in our portfolio, you know. Now,
Mm-hmm.
like everything, you know, once you're in the family, if there's anything we can ever do to help, we will. You know, you just brought up Kathy on. He's my adopted uncle, you know, at this point, you know, Viv, the kids. There's not another respectable, lovable human being that you meet that you just want to hug like a big old teddy bear and do whatever you can to help them, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, my more is just our portfolio, our US based portfolio and stuff like that.
So how
That doesn't mean if
many?
Boston Jimmy wants to do a private blend, like I'll get on the phone for you and you know we do some stuff for you.
Take a trip down there and start doing some blending. Yes, I
Yeah,
would.
you know, there are
I've
worse ways
touched.
to spend. There's worse ways to spend 3 days in a week. You know.
I'm sure, but in my days, my days are every day is a Saturday for me now, so I can do whatever I want.
Retired life looks good on you. I told you in PCA. You know, you look more lean back. You know, you're relaxed.
I,
We could
I
just get
have
if we could get the Red Sox to jump on board with this, life would be so
well,
much better.
you got to give them time. I mean, they had some front end injuries. They had to move some players around. We've got some guys out there that look like they're playing little league lately with the errors that they've been producing. But it's still early in the season. You know, beautiful part about baseball, 162 games, doesn't stop. So we'll see where they go. Um, Yankees look strong, although they seem to falter a little. Baltimore kind of took over top of the list in the AL again, which is surprising. Baltimore is once again, they do it every year. They come out with something strong and then they peter. So
Tampa's doing what they do. They just coast nicely. You know, which is
mhm.
what I always say. First half of baseball, you just got to play 500 ball, no crazy injuries. And we've already seen what we're up to like 10 starting pitchers out with Tommy John. I mean, the Marlins are hurting. We lost our young rookie coming up. He's out to Tommy John. Sandy's still suffering for his week. So, I mean, there's something to say that we need to look at how we're developing these arms in college and how much we're using them. But I mean, I was just in New York and I called my dad. I was like, Dad, as much as I don't like these Yankee fans, I gotta give them credit. 1 o'clock game, it is 9:30 and 161st, and the bid is just a floodgates of white and pinstripe. And I was like, man, this is the way it's supposed to be. Just like Fenway. If it's a 1 o'clock game. If you're not off the train by 10, you're not walking through Yeehaw Way. Like, good luck.
No, no, no. Yeah, I'm going up there. I'm going up there in June. My wife and I are taking a vacation in Maine, and then we're going to drive down to Fenway for a Sunday Red Sox Yankees game. It's a night game too. It's a 7 o'clock game. So we're going to spend a little time in the area. So we'll get there early, and then we're just going to walk around and have fun. We've been there before, but we're doing it one more time, and I'm looking forward to that. But you just mentioned you were back home to New York. So where did you grow up in New York?
I didn't grow up in New York.
You
I grew up
didn't.
in Miami.
But your
I just got
father's
New
in New
York.
York.
No, my dad's down here. We're Marlins fans. So,
Oh, okay. I thought you said you
comparing
grew up.
comparing the
Ah.
cultures in different places is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And obviously we have ways to go before we can get to even a half of that.
Are you kidding me, man? You guys won a World Series, the Marlins.
We have two. We have two.
Oh, that's right. You have two. That's it. That's pretty good for considering the age of the team. I mean, considering what we're talking about with Yankees and Red Sox and Baltimore, you're looking at a team that's relatively young in comparison, right?
But I think you saw with bringing the Caribbean World Classic last summer and the summer before that, the World Classic. There's a vibe in Miami that has to be, methodically marketed, but there's a culture there that can be built. It's just obviously we know the Marlins past and how the city and the fans have reacted to certain decisions. So, it's just gonna take time, but they'll get there.
They so long as they don't dismantle again. You know, that's always the thing that bothers me is, they go on this great run and they dismantle the team and then they start from the bottom again.
I thought it
You
was
know,
cool that in Camden Yards, when you're walking around Camden Yards, they have it on the wall. They have like a little metal plaque where Griffey hit the wall in the home run derby and he took it over the thing. Like I thought it was so cool that they have that mark there like that. So I'm
fun.
almost done with my tour. I'm at 26 of all
I
32.
was
So
going to ask you, how many ballparks have you been to?
I've been to 26. So I'm just missing
Four
Chi-Town.
ballparks.
I'm missing Chicago, California, and Pittsburgh.
Ah, so you never been to the Angels Stadium?
No, I haven't been West Coast yet. Everybody
That's
says
a
that Pittsburgh
nice.
has a beautiful view, though.
Pittsburgh has a beautiful view. Been there. Um, the Angels, absolutely beautiful stadium. Phenomenal looking stadium. Just the outside, it's just grand as you walk in. So I have to actually think about how many ballparks I've been into. I've not been to 26. I know that, but that could be one of my bucket list retirement things. There's an app you can go to that you can actually go to every single game, okay, every single
It gives you the
ballpark
route.
in one season. It routes it out from where
It
you
routes it.
start and routes you all around the country. You just drive
And
around.
then MLB gives you like a poster or something in your final game if you like link up with them or something. Like they do like this little award
Jeez,
ceremony
I need to
certificate.
I need to do that.
Just get
Have
an RV,
Boston
take the
do.
show on the road, take the show on the road, every city, a different cigar shop. Like we can do this. We can market this, you know?
This would be an interesting conversation going forward for sure. Stogie Press on the road, hitting ballparks. And you go to some
Coming soon,
ballparks, you can smoke.
2025.
You go to some ballparks, they have smoking lounges in them. Detroit. You go to Detroit, and they've got a smoking lounge right there in the stadium. You can't see the game from the stadium. They got watching on TVs, right? So it's not like you can actually look
Astros,
out of the
Astros
ballpark.
had Astros had a smoking section within the stadium, and they had the TVs going with the game, and you can hear like the audio from like the fans screaming. You were in the stadium, but it was outside, like a deck, private, and it was like a smoking section.
Hmm.
That stadium was fun. That was a
That
fun
I
time
that
back.
I would like. I look at old photos of ballparks and people sitting in the stands smoking cigars. I'm like, it's all open air, man. Come on. But yeah, it bothers everybody else who doesn't smoke. So I get it. So with the 120 now launched out there, how's it selling?
It's selling great. The success of it has been immense. It's definitely led the way. In the last 2 quarters, end of the year, obviously with the relaunch and something new. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
live in the what's new society, which sometimes when you're on this side, it's like, all right, it's not always about what's new. It's what's smoking good.
Always what's new, because
But
but I always felt that sometimes you don't have to do what's new every year. You want to do what's new uh when it's ready. Because if you take the time to do it right, then it sells.
that's why I was so happy this year that we didn't have any new releases. You know, it's okay to just keep building the portfolio, especially we're in this stage of relaunching ourselves, reintroducing ourselves, getting back into stores. We're still onboarding accounts. We're still getting in front of accounts that we need to get back in and stuff like that. So having
But
a year of solid, you know, rebuild is also good too. Because you can't get back in people's face and want to launch a new product on top of everything. So
mm,
having the 120 to lead the way with something new is good. Obviously, there was a lot of changes this year between TPE, PCA, scheduling, alignment, you know.
sure.
So this is definitely a transitional year for everybody and stuff like that. It's also an election year, so everyone all over the place with what's gonna happen. So it's
Yeah,
always a rough
yeah.
time. Election year is always rough for sales. Like everyone's like
Is it
holds back.
really?
I've noticed that a little bit. Like everybody holds back a little. Like what's gonna happen? If, is there a shift of power changing? Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I don't pay attention to this much
I
anymore. I'm
think the
too
biggest
old.
problem the industry has right now is just we're getting away from the COVID hype. That's done. We're
Yes.
coming back to reality now.
Get a little
So
tamping down, I'm
you know,
sure.
so more than anything, we're chasing regular numbers now. That COVID hype is gone, and obviously there's an inflation. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Inflation
Everything,
across the
everything's
board.
everything's more expensive these days. And one way or another, people are dealing with change supply demands and stuff like that. You know,
Now,
one
how
way or another,
much
you're having problems with a box or some shortage of tobacco. Like everyone's going through it. You know, everyone.
you guys make your own boxes too, don't you have a box factory?
We do.
Yeah, yeah. So you're pretty very vertically integrated. But now, do you also source leaf? Not you don't just grow it, but you also source it. So, how are you handling, or how's La Aurora handling getting leaf from
I mean, for the
Ecuador?
most
Because
part, we
Ecuador is
review.
an issue, right now. I heard.
Ecuador has become a little issue, like you heard just the same. I heard the same way a few months ago. It was impossible to get anything broadleaf,
Hmm.
you know. So like I say, at one point or another, everyone's getting hit with some kind of, well, you know, I use this type of tobacco for this filler, and now there's a shortage on that. You know,
Hmm.
everyone's going through it. But luckily, we're in a good situation right now when it comes to like back orders and all that. We have a steady supply of everything that we need at least for the next 6, 7 months, and we should be good. But we'll see. You never know what cigar is now going to spike up the sales, and now you got to tell them and be like, "Yo, ramp up production on this," and that's going to
Yeah.
affect, you know.
So these cigars right now, the 120th, come in how many different vitolas?
They come in four regular productions of Toro. The Toro, Grand Toro, Churchill, and Robusto, and then we have
Hmm.
one limited edition Vitola that's a Preferido #1 that comes in a 10 count box with a tube that opens sideways that pays homage to the original tube recreated back in 1903, and then it has two little jewels on it. It has the amber and the Larimar, which are very Dominican, you know, jewels in the island. You know, amber, everything's amber over there. And the
Right.
amber and the Larimar
Okay.
are on the closing edges of the tube, and it opens vertically. If you go to the factory, you'll see the museum that we have, and you see how the tubos have gone through their formations from beginning to end. So with the 120, we want to pay homage to everything. You know, we're talking about 120 years. So many people have passed through that factory. So much knowledge handed down, generation of generations. So much vertically changes along the way. So we want to be like, all right, let's take it back to where it all started. And you know, we released with that limited edition tubo, which did amazing.
Now I would tell you, I was in a shop in Nashville, and I can't remember the name of the shop, but it wasn't downtown, it was off on the side. And the guy real it was about 4 years ago, and he had just recently took it over and revamped it. And he had something in his shelf which isn't everywhere where La Aurora is. It's the longer Preferido. In you got the ones
So I
that
have
are
the number ones that go
yeah, the
not in a
bigger
tubo.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the tubo. That was a special cigar.
those are probably been aging in that humidor easily 6 years.
Hmm.
Because under the Miami portfolio, we had Preferido #1, Preferido #2 tubo, we had Preferido Robusto. Like it was very confusing. Like you had all these different kind of Preferidos. Now it's just Preferido #2, Short Perfecto, tubos, 8 count box. That's it. So if you come across a shop that has those #1, those are gems. It's easily
And I
five,
should
six years.
I should have bought more of them. He didn't have
I
many.
I posted it there. I did an event in Danbury, Connecticut, and Kevin Page at Butthead had a box of La Aurora Preferido Lancero Cameroon. That box was timestamped 2009. We're talking about 15 years.
15 years. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
nice. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need some of those for the sales team when we go on
Of
sales
course, you
meetings
have to ask yourself the
out.
question, why are those cigars still there and not sold? You ever
Listen,
ask yourself that question? Yeah, I mean, as a sales manager, you go around, you look at shops, what's on their shelves, what's selling, what's not. You sit back and say, why are those why is those cigars even here?
well, Lancero's always an
Yeah.
acquired sale. Myself, I love Lanceros and Coronas, but everyone's different. That's why I always look at it in a shop. You see Lanceros, it's probably been in there already for like 3, 4 years. and haven't been able to sell them yet.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have the geeks that love the Lanceros. I mean, and I love Lanceros, but the not every shop carries them because they don't, like you said, they sit on the shelf. And um oh, Lou Piscatelli says after 15 years the flavor should be falling off.
I gave one to the blender, and he was very impressed with how well kept it was. I mean, yeah, I'm sure some of the spices have settled down, but that Cameroon wrapper held up heavenly,
Hmm.
you know?
Which is amazing in and of itself because it's such a fragile wrapper, that you put it, I find if you get Cameroon like that, you have to really, you better know how it's been humidified, right? So if that cigar is a little drier than you normally like it, don't rush it to bring up the humidity level because it'll crack that wrapper. You got to be careful
Very, very
what you do
careful.
with it because I've had that experience more times than I can imagine. So I actually take any Cameroons and I kind of dry box them and then I move them slowly before they go into my humidor, and I'll use my humidimeter just to check it to see where I think it's at.
I never thought about keeping it separately or something. You're onto something with that.
Yeah, I've been
You see, you learn
doing this
something
for
every day in this industry, you see?
every day and every day, and that's again, I'll give my selfish plug again right here. That's why you want to get out there and register for freaking Perilous, the ultimate cigar trivia game show. If you haven't done it, go to stogiepress.com/perilous. It's free to register, free to play, and you'll win great shit. And the winner of the season will be my guest on a trip to Nicaragua, all expenses paid from Miami.
I like how you did that all in one day. Impressive.
And get out there and register. Selfish plug. Thank you very much. um, when you first got into going to a shop and started working in the retail side of it, um, how green were you at that point with cigars, or were you kind of knowledgeable, or was that an
No,
educational process?
I was already knowledgeable, but I worked from working in retail. I worked 6 years in retail before going to work for Miami Cigar and working into a shop. So, yeah, knowledgeable about the product, yeah, because you got to learn. So, and like I always tell people, once you work at a shop and you're a cigar geek, you're a cigar geek for life. You smoke everybody's stuff. You look forward to trying people's stuff. It is what it is. So sit here and say you only smoke one brand, not lying. We all smoke everybody's stuff. You got to know what your competitors are doing. Come on.
Yes.
So,
Uh,
so it wasn't about the lack of product, but it was definitely just being on the other side. Like, are these people going to be receptive to me? Like, it's one thing working at a shop, but now I got to walk in and sell it. I do. Like, are people going to like me? So it takes a little while to adjust. And just like everything, there's days where you're doing good, and then there's days where like you walk in a few shops, you get turned down because people are going through it. Once you start getting down, it's just like, all right, just go home and work on phone calls because your energy's already different.
what do you smoke first thing in the morning?
Um, to start my day lately, Cameroon. I'm a big Cameroon fan, so our Time Capsule 1903 Cameroon is a good morning cigar. Um, and it depends what kind of day. Like, am I just on the road, or is it like a father and son Saturday? Like, you guys know that I'm a big football guy, and we're gonna be tailgating. Then that's actually when I'm going in there. It's like I'm going to Connecticut. I'm taking my palate up in ways because it's gonna be a while. We're gonna be out. But on a regular day, I'm grabbing a Cameroon, the Carl Malone Barrel Age, that Ecuadorian Habano wrapper with
Oh, yeah, that's right. You
those
guys
barrel
make the
knife,
Carl Malone. That's right.
something like that. You can never go wrong with a Preferito. The gold, the Corojo, and stuff like that. Um, but I do find myself smoking a lot of the new 120. And I'm a broadleaf guy, so somewhere at the end of the day, that Preferito broadleaf is coming in, or that 107 Maduro broadleaf, and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
107 is a nice cigar too. At this point, I want to take my second commercial break. It's about 4 minutes. And then when we come back, let's dive a little deeper into. I like to hear your stories of working at Miami Cigars, because I just came back from the 80th birthday party early in the year, or last year, end of last year, I forget when it was. Probably early in the year, and that was pretty amazing event. And I think Aurora made that cigar too, right?
We'll talk about it.
Hmm.
We'll talk about it.
Okay. So with that, let's just do one more advertisement segment, and we'll keep this show rolling.
And today's show is brought to you by Bocock Brothers Cigars, a new and active brand founded by two Honduran brothers, Bryant and Douglas Bocock. The brand zeroes in on those folks that are looking for easy to smoke cigars inspired by unusual circumstances. Very importantly named after their very interesting and imitable last name, Bocock. Right now, Bocock Brothers is featuring their signature edition, made at the AJ Fernandez factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. It features an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a Nicaraguan Habano binder, and a Nicaraguan filler. Available in three popular formats: a Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo. You can check out Bocock Brothers Cigars at www.bocockbrothers.com. And today's show is brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova is a family owned and operated premium cigar company. Only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar. This results in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather, to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at Platinum Nova Cigars, www.novacigar.com, and on their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. This episode of Taking It to the Nub is sponsored by the Box Press Cigar app, the ultimate cigar smoking experience. With Box Pressed, you can easily catalog cigars with your own virtual humidor. Quickly rate and record notes for any cigar using the Smoke Session feature. Receive intelligent cigar recommendations based on your personal taste profile and access exclusive discounts from top cigar brands. You can even shop your favorite cigars directly in the app, then automatically sync the order to your virtual humidor, plus so much more. Download Box Press today by typing bxpr.sd/install into any web browser and discover the world of cigars like never before. That's bxpr.sd/install. And today's show is brought to you by All Saints Cigars, a company founded in 2019 and headed up by industry veteran Mickey Pegg and his two friends, Martin Corboy, a successful restaurateur, and Frank Leo, an Air Force Academy graduate military veteran. As Mickey explains it, they were all sitting down talking and smoking cigars, and finally they decided that they would do this thing together. It was time. Mickey said, "I decided if I'm going to work hard at it, it should be something I love. Besides, a tough day with a cigar is better than a great day doing anything else." Soon after, they began the process of launching All Saints Cigars, jokingly referring to themselves as the Holy Trinity: St. Michael, St. Martin, and St. Francis. They chose for their logo the cross of St. James, the patron saint of Nicaragua, the country where their cigars would be produced. You can check out All Saints Cigars at www.allsaintscigars.com.
Okay, let's come back to Willie. Yeah, so that love affair between All Saints and McAuliffe didn't last long. You see that news on that? They kind of broke up their relationship. I guess they did what they had to do and they moved on.
The news that actually broke me, it's been a crazy 12 days. I was in New England for 10 days, and then we were in Santo Domingo for the last 4 to 5 for like 7 days. Um, the Rudy news from Padron, I just want to extend them my deepest condolences and stuff like that
Yes,
on the passing of Rudy. And,
that's a
we're all
tough
with
one.
you in our prayers. And I used to see Rudy in Bimini and everywhere. So that broke me, and I was just like, whoa. So,
Yeah, no, that was hard. And every time we lose somebody in this industry, and especially when they're younger, it's just tougher. You know, just take a moment on that. So going back to your history, like I mentioned, I was at Nestor Miranda's birthday party and the rollout of his 80th anniversary, which is a banging cigar. Guys did a good job on that. What was it like working with Nestor? I find him to be one of the finest cigar gentlemen out there.
Nestor will keep you on your toes 24/7. Um, Nestor is one of the ultimate GQ gentlemen in this industry. In the words that he always told me, always be the best dressed man in the room. And you see it to today, like he's never not dapper down.
Hmm.
Uh, I owe a lot to him and Jason and Mariana for believing in me and giving me the opportunity when they did. And I always tell everybody, you think Nestor's a hustler? Mariana is the OG hustler. She is the driving wheel that pushes everybody. So, hi,
No,
mama, love you. If you're watching, hi, mama, love you.
I I've loved Miami Cigar World since I was introduced to them years ago, and they're just one of those that they've got this fine relationship with La Aurora, and they're doing great things. Um, when you were doing your work there, you must have got a hell of an education.
It was actually great because you were spoiled. You got to work with two great companies for the most part. So, they were doing the distribution for La Aurora Cigars. So you had one of the founding legacy brands in the Dominican Republic in your portfolio, and then the special selection, the Nestor Miranda stuff was made by Don Pepin at my father's. So
Right.
I mean, you had two great factories in your pocket that you were working with. And that's always fun. When you can lead conversations throwing names like that, that's it's always a good time.
When you think about your journey, what are some things that maybe you we're always learning, right? So what are some things that maybe you still want to learn about? You want to expand yourself? I mean, where does where's Willie in 5 years from now?
In the moon. Man walked on the moon. Why can't we take cigars
Bing,
to the
bop, bop,
moon?
bop, boom.
Um, I mean, just this last year and a half with Ladora has been a ride. Like to be doing the things that I'm doing today, I never thought I'd be doing. Um, every every year, every month, there's a new obstacle to overcome and challenge. Um, I I can't even imagine what the next 5 years hold right now. I'm still enjoying the ride today, and everything we're doing. Um, so I hope to still be doing stuff with like this with you and be able to say, wow, what a 5 years been for the company and to elevate the name into categories that they belong and where they should be. But it's been a great journey. And it's only started. So, we're in this new process of what we call the new dawn. So, La Rora 2.0. One of the lines I use a lot with people is like, this isn't your dad's La Rora cigar that you're used to. You see it with the 120, we're aggressive. We're on the streets. We're in your face. We're in your humidor. We're coming. We're here. We're doing all these different social media stuff to be back in people's face. And this is the industry today, with the information now society. So you got to be constantly making noise one way or another. We've been quiet for a while, but we're here. We're coming.
Oh, yeah, and you're like you said, you're kind of, I won't say you're rebooting it, but you're definitely trying to get it back out for more shops to recognize the brand and to bring it in and understand what you're doing. Um, where's your biggest market right now?
Florida obviously is always going to lead the way for a lot of different markets. Texas is coming back strong. Arizona, Vegas, and all that, they're up on the uprise and stuff like that. We just hired a rep for the Midwest, so we should get some good traction out there and start rebuilding Chicago, Illinois, and all that area. I just did a great week in New York, and obviously New York is great because obviously 60% of the city is Dominican, so you know Bronx, Brooklyn, every market is growing little by little. But yeah, I mean, Florida is always such a big hub for everybody,
Did you go to the Harlem Cigar Room when you were there?
No, I didn't get to that one. It was on my list, but it's so
Man,
many of them in a day.
have you ever been there?
I drove by it.
Oh,
I
you
did, I
got
want
it.
to say I got there too early, and by the time I went back, it
Yeah.
was just late.
The
And
next
New
the,
York City, everything takes 25 minutes to wrap around.
25. I mean, you can't drive a block in 10 minutes in New York these days.
On that trip, I did the Boston, the Massachusetts I-90, and
Hmm.
I did FDR, and I did the GW Bridge. By the time I was done with that trip, I told myself I will never complain about I-4, 826, or I-95. Like we have it good, you know.
No, we do. There, it's like, Miami's a little tricky with the traffic too, but New York has got its own unique problems with traffic, especially on the island, right? On Manhattan Island, right? Is just a shit show because you could ride a
You
bike. I
don't want to
can
be on the
walk
FDR.
faster.
You don't want to be on the FDR of the Yankees or the Mets or Twins. Just
Oh,
don't
forget
even
about
attempt
it.
it.
No, forget it. Yeah, and I actually can, at times can walk faster than the cars are driving down the avenues and the streets. Okay, and I'll take subways because it's just so much easy to get around. Hop on a train, get off, and then you walk 5 blocks to wherever you got to go. But yeah, if you get the chance to go back, you got to go into the Harlem Cigar Room. It is kind of like an old speakeasy type of place. It's got very dim lighting inside. It's beautiful people, owned by the
I went to a
Dominicans.
place like that, but it was called Soho Cigar Club, a little bit
Okay.
on the outskirts, and that was super dope. It was like had like a downstairs, but it had the very dim lighting with the chairs in the front.
And what I find interesting too is when I'm up there, and I go into any shop, there's always people in there and they're selling cigars, and you look at the prices of them, and you choke, right, at the cost of the cigars in New York, yet people still buying them. And it's not stopping them from buying cigars.
They find a way.
It's
They
in
always
their
find a way.
budget. It's in their personal budget, right? This
Yeah.
is what I'm gonna do. This is the point of the show where I like to go a little bit into a little more personal aspects of the guest.
All right.
So talk to me about family life.
Um, let's see. The only reason I'm able to sustain this lifestyle is no wife, no girlfriend, no dog. I don't think that many women that I haven't been home since April 11th. I'm scheduled to be in my physical apartment sometime tonight, and I'm very excited for that. Even though I still have another event later on today. But mom and dad are doing great. Great family support. Um, and yeah, my heart's in Miami with my family. I live in Orlando, but it's just easier to be in Orlando and cover the state of Florida in itself because it's just a connecting bridge to everywhere. It's a
Sure.
great gateway city. I know everyone's doing great and healthy. And as a lot of people know because they see all my stories and posts, it's um, my dad is my best friend. sporting events, Marlins, football, Hurricanes, that we're a sport family, like I tell people, some father and some go fishing, some build cars, we go to sporting events, so we're getting ready for the crazy season with Hurricane football. I won't miss a home game no matter where I'm at.
Hurricane football, man. I went when I went to college. I didn't have a football team in my college, so I wasn't really into college football that much, except for my uncle in Long Island, who was a big Notre Dame family, and we always watched Notre Dame games there. But I wasn't really into it. And then my son went to the University of Miami, and all my
we've had this
money.
com- and we've had this conversation now that your son is an amazing man for making that decision.
Yeah, he did great, but it turned, because all my money went there, I have to be a Canes fan. I just that's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I've got the Cane jerseys, I got everything. I've been to
We
games.
got we got the we got the good doozy this year for opening day. We play the Gators in Gainesville, so you know Northern Florida will be rocking for good or for bad.
Oh yeah. The only thing I'm upset with the Canes is we're not playing in the Orange Bowl. Okay. It's just, the old stadium was the jam.
I was 11 years old going to that stadium, so believe me, there's that still stings. But yeah,
So
that's
if there are any
that's personal
single
life, That's a personal life.
So if there are any single Sisters of the Leaf out there, there's a guy right here. Okay,
no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I don't have the time for it.
No time. I love it. I love it. Well, the clock keeps ticking, brother. That's all I know.
It does. It does.
What do you're super busy. You take a little downtime in a hotel, break away
You
from
have to.
work for
I
a
mean, you
second.
have to. If not, you'll burn out. I mean, you have to. But one reason we do this is because we love that rush. We love the
Mhm.
hustle and bustle. Like that's why we do it. I mean, this industry is driven 120% by passion.
Yeah, it's passion, it's
Every
adrenaline.
you live for it.
Yeah,
So
and
you
and
might be
you
tired, but you get to the store, and you get through the event, and you look up and you see everybody enjoying themselves, and you're having these great conversations, and you're putting people onto the cigar, or you're getting them to revisit the brand again, and you're like, all right, it was worth the 2 hour drive and all the windshield time it took to set everything up.
So what is a La Aurora event like at a shop?
Well, we got a lot of different things we're able to do. Obviously, we try to bring you the Dominican experience to the event. But one of the things we were able to really focus on is knowledge and experience. We have our training kits, which obviously it brings like the final product, the cutter and lighter, but then it brings you 4 pure grade cigars. So Manuel
Oh,
is able to take you from seed to final product all in that sit down experience. So you'll smoke every component of the cigar, and then you get to have the final product, which gives you then a different understanding for the product itself once you smoke every section of it. So knowledge is a big key thing that we like to introduce in our events. Obviously, we have the heritage, we have the lineage, we have the legacy for it. So
and not
we also have
everybody
our own
does it.
rum. We also have our own rum, like so when
Why
we do
not?
our pairing, it's not often that you're able to have the same brand with the cigar with their own rum. So I mean, you'll see in the coming year a lot more focus driven stuff with the pairing going on now that we're establishing distribution in the United States and stuff like that with the rum.
Have you considered? I guess shops cannot necessarily, unless they got a liquor license. I guess I don't
Yeah,
know what
that's
they.
specific shops that we can do stuff that, but it also helps. Like you have Executive Melbourne, you have the Coronas, you have the Smoke on the Waters, and all these bars that do have full liquor that you're able to bring that experience like that.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking even to the point of having a smaller bottle of rum with a box of cigars. You know.
We're dealing with all whole other rules and stuff like that when it comes with the liquor side.
Um, What else would you pair with like this cigar itself? Obviously, rum goes well with this. I can tell you that right now. What else would you pair with this cigar?
Um, never go wrong with coffee.
I
Um,
have that.
you know, um,
I will
and
try that.
like I always tell people, how do you take your coffee? That's also gonna describe the kind of cigar
Black,
you like.
black.
That's why you like your full body stuff. You're able to enjoy those acetones and those, which is why you enjoy Maduros and stuff like that.
And finding good coffee is another one of my journeys that, I do whole bean all the time. And I just sometimes I get coffees and it's just like, God, it's so acidic and bad. It's, why did I buy this? Like my wife sometimes goes, picks up some Starbucks stuff, and I was like, it's just not the same. It's just not there, and I like to find some good craft, like I have to get some Gabby coffee. Okay. I got to get a hold of Gabby and get some beans. I want to try his. But I also like a good Cuban coffee, obviously. I mean, there's nothing better than, well, let me restate that. Nicaraguan coffee is good. Okay, Cuban coffee is good. But you know who makes the best coffee in the Dominican Republic that I've had? DBL. Francisco at his factory. I don't know what he does or what he's getting, but his coffee is just to die for. I don't know why. It's just so damn good. You guys must have your own you have your own coffee line?
We just launched a brand that they've been working on. It's called Cora Coffee out there in the DR. Really good. It's obviously more on the medium road.
Mm-hmm.
Um, being that I come from a Cuban descent, um, I like a stronger roast, obviously. Espressos, one espresso a day will keep you wired for 2 days if you don't drink it correctly. But yeah, we do also have our own line, and we got some other stuff in the pipeline that we're doing on the coffee scene too. So
Well, that's now, do you,
there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things in the world. A lot of stuff. So,
there's you got a lot of moving parts going in
which
that
is what
company
keeps you
now.
going, knowing that we have all these cool things and all these innovation stuff that we're able to bring forth to the market. So it's gonna be interesting as everything starts to roll out, and we're able to do so.
So as sports, you were talking sports earlier. You talk football and baseball. Do you do hockey?
Cool. Look, the Florida Panthers are about to finish the sweep against Tampa. No thanks, Tampa. Hopefully they can finish it and finally win the cup and bring it to South Florida. They've been on a journey the last few years, and it's always, you know, but it'd be good for them to finish their story and finally bring it home.
They're a
I mean,
sport
that
you,
other game, that goalie, how he stopped it with the glove
well,
like that, out of position like that, has to be a one in a kind play that's going to be remembered for a while.
it's I played goalie in street hockey, and I could tell you, nothing like taking slap shots to your head, okay, and blocking it, and it's a good goalie makes or breaks any game. And today's world of hockey versus when I was a kid, because they changed, what the goalie can do and the lines and how it's a different game. Go back to the old school stuff, and but they had to change it because it was so boring, because it was 1-0 games. People wanted to see scores.
It drives ratings.
Exactly. Same reason with baseball. They want to speed up baseball. I don't know why, but they want to speed it up, you know?
I'm not against some of these new rule changes. Like I'm okay with, come on, batter, let's go. Come on, pitcher, let's get to it. But this home plate rule on the play at home, like that's just aggressive baseball that you like. Don't.
Barrel down the catcher. I'm sorry. You block it, you can block it, but
It's
I'm
you
coming at
know
you.
it sucks that Buster Posey decided to square up on his knees, and you're taught as a kid never on your knees because you can only go one way back. But it's like, come on, the
By the
runners. That's a
way,
very bang bang play.
so Irving Rodriguez has chimed in, and I'm
Oh
not
boy,
sure which
oh
coffee.
boy.
I think he might have been talking about DBL, but maybe it's yours. His coffee is phenomenal. So Irving, I'm not sure which one you were talking about, but hey, yeah, coffee's good. So is there any sports you don't like? No.
Can't do that.
Every sport.
I learned that it's a really expensive sport and hobby to suck at. It's just too damn
Soccer?
expensive. No, golf.
Oh, golf. Yeah. Well, it's expensive on many reasons. And, you got to get your clubs and, get good clubs. You got to have green fees. You got to pay for that. All right. And then while you're playing the game, you're betting against each other.
I learned it's too expensive for me to be that terrible. I went through an entire box of balls. I think I only have one ball left as a reminder. So that's over 24 balls. It just got to the point where I was going to the side bushes and grabbing whatever first ball I found because I didn't want to go looking for mine. So I learned that me and golf do not get along. I appreciate people that do know how to play. I learned that I am a good caddy. I'll drive you, I'll give you cigars, and I'll pour you the tequila, and that's good.
Yeah, I tell people my best golf game ever was an 81, and that was on the back nine. I'm like the worst guy. I'm the guy that, go out golfing. It's just like, okay, wherever the ball goes, I'll pick it up and walk to wherever the next ball is, and I'll shoot it from there. I'm not keeping score. I'm just out here for fun. The guys that I'm playing with, though, are like, if they shank a ball, it's like they're breaking clubs. I'm like, don't take it so serious, man. Come on, it's a game.
I'll leave that to the people. God bless y'all golfers. For me and that do not get along. Like I'm just not good at it. And I'm good. I'm good with it. There's plenty other stuff to watch and do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hear that. What about cars? You big car guy?
Living in Central Florida, I've gotten into a little more NASCAR. My cousin's a big NASCAR fan, so we've done the Daytona and stuff like that, and that's an experience.
Yep.
I guess like everybody else, I'm starting to learn a little bit more about F1, and that's a whole nother world in itself and stuff like that. I got into soccer because of living in Orlando, because they had the Orlando City, and at that time we didn't have Inter Miami, so that was fun. Those games get really fun up there, and now we have Inter Miami, so like I tell people, I have dual citizenship. I can root for both. And I'm excited, obviously, because there's nothing like a World Cup vibe. Even before that, like I would only watch the World Cup because, everybody's gonna wake up at 4 a.m. to watch the games and stuff like that. But to have that coming now to the States, like, that's an once in a lifetime experience, I would say, to watch a World Cup match, no matter who you're watching play.
Where are they doing that?
Miami's coming. I believe Boston. There's a couple of host cities, but I know Miami's definitely one.
So the question,
we got to take Stogie press on the road once again. You see, like there's the
so the
next
question
2 years
for
you're traveling.
So for the Americans, I'd be curious to see if the Americans follow the World Cup process like they do in Europe and march to the stadium. You ever been to a game?
We do that
soccer
now.
game in Europe.
Here, even in the States here, every local team has like their supporter section, the fans with the drums and the flags, and they march into the stadium like that, into their section. So the supporter section will play the drums, they'll launch their flares, team colors, and they will march from their given tailgate area, line up, and march into the stadium. I've seen it done here in Miami, and I've seen it done in Orlando. It's always fun to watch.
Yeah, I've not seen that. I mean, I'm not a huge soccer guy. I could tell you my kid played it, and the one thing I never can get my head wrapped around in soccer is offsides. I don't understand it. Never will. Doesn't make any sense.
I want the secret copper spray because that cures everything. So whatever it is they spray, like I need that because that cures everything. No matter how bad it is, they spray you, you're up in 25 seconds. So we need that. I need whatever formula is. I need that for after the gym because that cures everything.
There you go. No, when I was mentioning cars earlier, I was talking more from a personal perspective. Are you into your personal cars? Do you have a car that you always wanted to have that you don't have yet? Anything special?
Want a Lamborghini, and who doesn't want a Lamborghini or Ferrari? But I don't know if that's road friendly. I don't know if I can pull up to accounts with that and be like, I need an order right now. Things are slow.
I have a friend of mine who's got a Lamborghini in town. It's just like I would.
But that's a very growing trend in Orlando. Everybody's doing like cars and coffee, cars and cigars, or these groups of people get together and they bring out their supercars, and they're able to put kids and start it up, and it's good for
Yeah.
those people that can do that.
Yeah, I always wanted a
I know there's a huge
63.
Porsche club. There's a huge Porsche club in Orlando too that gets together once a month and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I've always wanted a 63 Corvette.
I used to always love the Shelbys until I sat in one and I saw how hot it gets in there.
Gee.
It was like, oh, I don't know.
You got a big
So,
engine going in that thing, man. And the AC, you had to get one with AC. It's we take AC for granted in cars today. Back when I grew up,
if
that
you
didn't
remember,
exist.
the Shelby was one of Nestor's favorite cigar. We did the limited edition Shelby box with 10 Lanceros, 5 and 5 or something like that. And it was a little Shelby that opened up and the cigars inside. So,
Presentation's got a lot to do with it.
sorry.
So one last question, and we'll probably we're at the hour. When you go into a new shop, right? Somebody that's not carried your brand and you're introducing the brand, what is the kind of approach you take in figuring out how to get shelf space for La Aurora?
Every shop is different, this you bounce around, it all depends on the dynamics of the shop. And I would also say the economic structure that the shop has within its given radius of the city. Not everybody can push 30, 40, $50 cigars. Not everybody
Right.
wants to push $8 and $10 cigars. We're blessed that our highest, our best selling cigars is our most luxurious cigars too, which is the Preferitos. Everybody likes to see those tubos together on the shelf and stuff like that. So that's always selling well, and that's a helper. But you gotta always see what is the economic success of the store. Do they want time capsules, which is a more daily value? Are they looking for mid-range value? And that's when you want to go 107. Now with the 120 being like a right in the middle cigar with $14 to $16 MSRP, or do you want to create like, listen, try two of these, two of that, and let's see what works. Um, I always like putting a fair amount of facings that will flip. We do nothing with bombarding the humidor, and then we can't flip it. So you got to know where you're walking into. You don't just walk in on the limb and not know what is going around in the area and stuff like that. And then you got to also worry about high tax concentrated states. Like how are we gonna supplement and help those out? We're blessed in Florida, no tobacco tax. But
Yeah, yeah, it's always
you
nice.
you're going, like you said, you're Boston, high tax area. New
Yeah,
York, another
Boston is
high.
ridiculous. It's
New York, another ridiculous. So every market is different, and you just have to sit down and work with owners and figure out what's going to work for both them and you.
Well, I know you have got an event you're getting ready to go to. I wish you the greatest success at your event.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure for you taking some time here to talk about La Aurora. Again,
Thank you for
people,
having me on. Thank you for having me on.
if you haven't tried La Aurora lately, or you want to try it, pick up the 120. You're gonna like it. Check it out and give me feedback on it. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to give you the last word, Willie.
Again, thank you for having me on. Like Jimmie just said, if you haven't, go grab it. I hope to see you guys along the way in my travels. I see TK's on. What's up, brother? Love you. Hope all is well. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I look forward to doing this again, and we'll see you guys on the road.
There we go. All right, folks, that's the show for today. We'll have something up next week. And don't forget, if you haven't had a chance, go register for Perilous. Selfish plug again. We need contestants. Anyway, you're going to have fun playing it and doing everything. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Have a great weekend. And thank you again, Willie, for joining.